Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for AMA number 25. I'm your host, the man that answers the questions that you send to the man, YamatoCannon. If you have any questions, send them in on our Discord or the YamatoCannon subreddit. Same as usual. A little update, I'm still not in Korea. The visa process is taking far longer than I expected. Obviously, I'm very limited in what I can do from, a remote location. This is something that is new to me too, working remotely. But we're doing the most that we can out of it, and working with some great players, and we're screaming and we're working hard, and eventually soon, everything will be done. I'm expecting to fly out within the next week, most likely. Fingers crossed. That was a small update on me. Let's jump into the questions. I made it sound like there's only one question. Aussie King of Kings 11. This man always asks questions. That is a good thing. People, it is good to ask questions. That is something that I do very often. That's how you learn. There is significant, gain to be had by asking the right questions. Let's see if your question is right today. Which pro player is the best at playing melee assassins? Looking for some VODs to watch. Knight maybe. So, in more recent history, there's very little melee assassins in the meta. That if we think about it. I think in terms of backline axes and how to play and how to think about the mindset in team fights, I think top lane has been a role that is just definitely in that direction. If you think of champions that have been like in more recent history, melee assassins from mid lane, there's been Silas, there's been Akali, and there's also been, of course, Echo. And the players that come to mind when you look at these champions, I'm thinking of Rookie, I'm thinking of Caps, I'm thinking of Perks, I'm thinking of Jizuke. You can even go really far down the rabbit hole. If you want to look at some like old school players that were very good at melee assassins, I recommend Nuktak during his Lemon Dogs times was fantastic. Like the only reason Lemon Dogs got second place was how good Nuktak was on Fizz and Zed, and I think Ari at the time as well, which is not a melee assassin, but it definitely is in that alley. I think you just have to pay attention to the good Kali Silas players, because this is the most recent we've seen, assassins being very meta heavy, in the meta heavily. So with that being said, those names that I mentioned, I think is a good go-to starting point. Chovy is also a good one. Knight is a good one. Just check out their VODs. I recommend using Leaguepedia and just looking at their match history, picking out the champions, and then usually there are links to the VODs too. Licht Nicht 0297. Most hyped match for week 1 LEC LCS. Let's take a look at the schedule, my friend. Okay. I checked the schedule, and I think the easy answers are just Origin versus G2. G2 is always going to be the go-to game, and then TSM versus Team Liquid is pretty goddamn hype too. There are... the gameplay might not be so good in North America, but some of the storylines are indeed very spicy. Will Team Liquid recover? Will TSM be good with Doublelift? Will Doublelift recover? Blah, blah, blah. A lot of recovery stories here, and a lot of drama that is, weighed into it that people kind of have forgotten about, but all the memes are gonna come back the moment they start playing on stage again, so I'm excited. FoxyFox32 asks, where would you rank Fnatic between the top 10 teams internationally? I think, I think around like 10th, 11th place would be reasonable. This is without, thinking of which teams would exactly be over them. I think the top 4 LPL teams goes without saying. I think they would beat Fnatic. I think DRX and T1 would have an edge against Fnatic. I think Gen.G too. Gen.G is always at the mercy of what they draft themselves. I think Gen.G still has some of the best players. Ruler is insane. I think BDD is also really good, but relatively small champion pools. I think this is nowhere like Fnatic has some significant advantage. Gen.G tends to play not so well against T1. Nevertheless, I think G2 is obviously above them. It's already there. I mentioned, I think 8 teams that can be better than Fnatic internationally. And I think there could be some potential LPL teams that could cause them some issues or damage too. But Fnatic is the team that, they're up there for a reason. They're an elite level team for a reason, and with the right preparation towards a meta, with the right mindset towards a meta, and if the meta kind of fits them and they figure out how they want to play and the preparation is good, doesn't mean they can't win games against these teams. It's just that I think odds are they might lose against these teams when they play against them in best of fives. But preparation still matters. I think it's tougher to judge Fnatic because we saw them get destroyed by G2 in a very, very horrible fashion, right? 3-0. But I think a big part of that was their preparation. And then after the preparation fell through, I think the mental of Fnatic, that exhaustion of losing against G2 over and over came back, and the tunnel didn't have a light at the end of it. And I think it showed in their gameplay too. So with that being said, you know, I don't think we should take the ending as the main thing to judge Fnatic, because throughout, you know, regular season and playoffs, they did quite well, right? They did quite well. They lost to G2 both times, so there's definitely, you know, some mental aspects at play there, but definitely I think 10-11 is very fair. The Max missed. How do you think C9, G2 and Fnatic would perform at MSC? Honestly, I think, you know, there is an advantage that all of these three teams do play a lot of best of ones, so they understand the element of it coming into it. But there is significant odds that they don't make it out of these groups. I think G2 as a team do very well in best of fives and when they get to prepare against one specific opponent, but in a world where they are put in one of these groups, it means that they are playing against 4 different teams, one best of 5. Their ability of preparing against someone specific is not a big factor. When G2 goes to Worlds, they have one big opponent that they need to beat in the group most of the time, unless you know, they get some unlucky draws coming into this year's Worlds and they get a Korean team and an LPL team, which is very high chances, right? Because it's 4 LPL teams, so you're gonna have an LPL team no matter what in your group. And then of course Korean is 1 out of 3. Well, 3 out of 4, more correctly put. In last year's World, they had to prepare against Griffin, and everything else was a cakewalk in the group, right? So I think G2 is the type of team that really needs to prepare against specific opponents, and they kind of mold themselves towards them. And I think in this type of format, I think G2 would struggle. I think best of ones against teams like DRX, JDG, and Top Esports can go either way. It's very, very difficult because it's best of one, so the predictions there are tough to do, but there is definitely a world that G2 goes through. C9 and Fnatic, I sincerely doubt it. Kabalol asks how to keep an open mind and draft them with game tactics. Well, the key thing is try to always beat yourself. This applies to many things in life. Thing is, when you get content, everyone else is looking to beat you. You need to look to beat yourself. When you beat yourself, you can stay out of the curve. In anything in life, everything is a race against yourself. So with this being said, just try to beat yourself. That's how you keep an open mind. If something is OP, try to beat it. Sometimes you reach a conclusion that things are just OP, that's fine, but try to beat yourself. Freika asks, if RAT IRL would be in LEC, in which team would you like to see him? Unreal prediction, but still want to know your opinion. Honestly, you know, RAT IRL is cool, you know, he has this thing going on, you know, it's cool, you know, only here for business. He's, you know, he's a cool character, but I don't think he has the right, like, I don't even think he wants to, you know, that's the key thing. Like, I can't imagine a world where he wants to play for LEC, and that's a big no-no, right? You can't be in the LEC and not want to be in LEC. And just because of this hurdle alone, it's hard for me to imagine RAT IRL on a team. He also just plays Twitch, sometimes plays Twisted Fate, you know, and is unranked to, I mean, he has an account with 200 games, and he has disaster MMR and wins 100 games in a row, does this type of business. You know, he's chilling. You can't have a chilling person in the LEC. I just don't think he wants to. He has some good mechanics on Twitch, right? It's cool. Sometimes Yumi as well. Very good on Modern Warfare too, you know, Gulag, whatever. But I don't think he's LEC material. I'm sorry, RAT IRL. Peanut Butter asks, which books have shaped you and your job? Well, the first book that comes to mind is The 4 Agreements beautiful book about, you know, finding your true self and being as good as you can be. It's hard for me to describe this book without, you know, ruining it, because I think the way it tells the story is beautiful. There is this book called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. That is also a masterpiece. Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. 48 Laws of Power. How to Not Give a Fuck, I think is the name of the book. Something like that. 11 Rings, Phil Jackson. Sir Alex Ferguson's book. Carlo Ancelotti's book. It's just endless, you know. What It Takes to Be Number One by Vince Lombardi Jr. Like, there's so many sources of information. The list can be endless, and this is just the beginning. Like, I abused the hell out of Audible. Audible is fantastic. You just get to I exercise, and then I listen to something, and there's so many people out there to learn from. We are so privileged to live in a time where there's so much information, because a lot of mistakes that have happened in the past, you know, a lot of mistakes that you might do are mistakes that other people have already done. Of course, it's good to make mistakes because you're supposed to learn from them. Mistakes are healthy if you learn from them. But if you can learn without making that mistake in the first place, why wouldn't you take that opportunity? And that's what books are. There's a lot of information. It's not necessarily tied to books. It can be articles, it can be videos, it can be Khan Academy. You know, it could be anything. And you have an endless, you know, supply of information and knowledge that you just need to use. To do anything else would be such an incredible disservice to your opportunity that is life. What I recommend for everyone is try to reduce the clutter, you know. Try to figure out your mental diet, what it is. Twitter, scrolling on YouTube, Facebook, all of this stuff, it suppresses your thoughts. It suppresses your thoughts because your mind is busy processing all this information that is in front of you. All of this information that is in front of you. And you don't want to use your brain power for it, because in the end, imagine you scroll Twitter for 3 hours, okay, or Reddit. What do you really get out of it? It is. For example, I was watching. I remember, the only thing I remember yesterday is I was scrolling on YouTube. I don't remember anything that I watched. Anything. It was just random clicking. You go into this wormhole, and these websites are designed to keep you around, you know? It is with the same principles of gambling, you know? There's a lot of cues there that keep you going. There is a lot of algorithms that are designed to keep you on the site. That is the point of the site. They want to keep you on it. Every website wants to keep you on it. And this suppresses thoughts. And thoughts are so important. Thoughts are so important. Don't underestimate the power of thoughts. Because thoughts and ideas, this is the beginning of everything. I can prove it to you by just simply asking you to look around yourself. Everything around you started out as a thought. The thought of the item, whether it's your phone or the microphone I'm talking into, that was the beginning of it, the birth of it was a thought. So to me, you know, with books in mind, it's a very good way to find inspiration. Limit your intake of uselessness. Even taking a break from screens, just 1 hour, forcing yourself through that phase of restlessness. Because this is what we are, right? Right now, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if the majority of us suffers from ADHD. We always need something in front of us. We need to activate our mind. I remember when I was younger, I was at the point in time where I was too bored to only play. I had to have a series playing to stimulate myself enough for me to enjoy myself. And this drives you crazy in the end, right? Force yourself to just take 1 hour break from everything. And you realize when you're in that position, when nothing is going on in front of you, your thoughts are gonna come back to you. Your mind is a very powerful tool. Let it rest and it will work for you instead of just processing whatever's in front of you. I remember this specific time, a little anecdote where I realized this was I didn't have phone internet, and my commute between work and home was about 40 minutes. I remember this 40 minutes of having no internet on my phone was so therapeutic. So therapeutic because I began to notice things. I began to think things. I began to process things. And I go back to the original thing. Thoughts are so important. Your thoughts are so important because everything around you. Look at the beautiful world we live in. Everything around you, whether it's a bottle or a phone, everything began with a thought. Everything. Thoughts are powerful, are necessary, are needed. Don't allow yourself to suppress your own thoughts, you know. That's how I view it, you know. I think humans are not, you know, ready to deal with the technological advancement that the world has done, you know. Everything is going so fast. Everything is getting better and better and more effective. And, you know, most of us, you know, humans are basically chimps, you know. We use our phone and the interface is easy, but what's behind it, there's very few people in the world that understand it and know it, right? I went a bit on a rant. I hope this can be useful to someone out there, you know. I hope it can be useful to someone. Profit and deficit. Can you personally rank your top 5 millionaires in the world currently? I think Knight, Chovy, Rookie, Faker, Doinby. Not in a particular order. I think Faker's effect on a team, not necessarily, you know, obviously these players are very strong at very different things. Like, I wouldn't put my money on Faker and Doinby in a 1v1 tournament. They're very team-oriented players that do very specific things, while Chovy, Rookie and Knight are more of the mechanical, you know, the young blood in a way, where they are very, very good at their matchups and they squeeze everything and they get advantages and they have these games where they just win the whole game alone, right? But Faker is very, very solid. Doinby is very, very solid. Doinby, the amount of impact and the opportunity he finds across the map is beautiful, and his relationship with his teammates is wonderful to see and is very precise. Same thing can be said for Faker. And for the other three, they are just so good at lanes. I'm trying to think if I forgot someone. I think if anything, you know, maybe Perks, Caps could be in that conversation. But it's so tough always to judge them because of the competition that they have in Europe. So it's always tougher. You know, we see these players that I mentioned always playing against other great mid laners. And not always, but sometimes, you know, more often than European mid laners. And that's why it's kind of hard to squeeze them in there. But definitely, they could be in that conversation. Barrier Cult asks, what's your favorite pizza? Quattro formaggi. Hello there, Snake says. Do you watch any movies or TV series? If so, what is your favorite? If not, what about your favorite music? Music, I think right now I'm listening to a lot of British hip-hop. I'm a big fan of Slow Tie. I think it's very interesting. Skepta, I'm a big fan. Jamie, they don't release that much music. I'm kind of all over the place. I'm a big fan of Kenny Beats, someone that Draco showed me. So I'm listening to a lot of Kenny Beats music and just following his production and so forth. My music taste is kind of all over the place. Like I have tickets to a System of a Down concert, which is my favorite metal band. I like techno music, where I used to be a big fan of old school Tiesto, like Adagio for Strings and like He's a Pirate and all that jazz, you know, when it was more like trance. Psytrance is very interesting to me, you know, Infected Mushroom and, you know, Vibe Tribe or whatever you can think of. You know, my music taste is kind of all over the place. I can enjoy some Billie Eilish, why not? You know, it's for me, it's all about, you know, how the music is tied together. I like to listen in and to listen to every instrument and how it kind of ties together and how it forms into art. I wouldn't say it's like, this is my favorite music. It kind of comes and goes, but I think if I had to choose one genre, I think hip-hop is where I kind of always fall back to. I have moments where I want to listen to something like that, something like this, but I think everyone has moments like that, you know. And about movies, big Quentin Tarantino fan, big Christopher Nolan fan, Scorsese, you know, the high end of movie making. You know, Baby Driver was a fantastic movie that I really, really loved. I liked Snatch, The Gentleman. You know, I like criminal movies. I like criminal series. You know, like Peaky Blinders. I really enjoyed Blacklist, which was more of like a cookie cutter show with kind of like the similar pattern over and over. But I think Raymond Reddington is such a unique character. Like whenever there's like a cool characters that you can kind of you know that has like cool phrases and so forth, like Suits with Harvey Specter and so forth. This type of shit I enjoy. You know, if I have to watch something. Nevertheless, let's end it there. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for asking questions. This was AMA number 25. If you have your questions, send them in on Discord, send them in on the YamatoCannon subreddit. This is it. Thank you so much. Subscribe. If you sneezed during this video, bless you and bless your face. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.